started right
Don't know what's going on.
All right, good morning. Just another microphone check. Can you hear me okay? Matt?
Yeah. Yep, we can hear you, Director.
Okay, great. Before we begin today's session, we just want to make sure you guys know where you can kind of follow where we're posting questions as they, as we update the website. So if you go to either the event wagering or fantasy sports contest tab, so we're going to just kind of do a little driving right here so you can see the page. Go ahead and click on that. As you go to those pages, you click there where it says click here and then scroll down, and then you will see right there, that's where we're posting the link where we kind of keep a running list of the questions and the answers we provide. We're going to update that on a daily basis based off of these meetings. Hopefully it will become a useful sort of FAQ for you. And like I said, you can access it by either going to the event wagering or fantasy sports tabs on our webpage. Clarification from yesterday, we continue to get questions on sort of that key personnel. We mentioned it yesterday. Again, those key personnel that we're looking for the filings from are the CEO, president, or equivalent, the CFO, the chief accounting officer, the controller, or equivalent, the COO, or that similar position that oversees the operations. And then in event wagering, any owner that has 5% or more, ownership with voting rights. And on fantasy sports, any owner with 10% ownership or more and voting rights. Those are the people that we're looking for disclosures from. On the event wagering operators, the designees, the limited event wagering operators or whatever, we're asking for that disclosure with your application. You don't have to worry about any suppliers or vendors or ownership disclosures of any the vendors, etc. We're just looking for in your organization. We want those key personnel to make those disclosures. That's what we're asking to be provided by the deadline. So for fantasy sports, it's tomorrow. And some people ask for a little more guidance on the time. It's 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on the 4th for fantasy sports. And for event wagering, it's 11:59 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on August 9th for event wagering operators for the applications there. So are there any questions on today's clarification? And we will, of course, update this onto the website. Again, if you have have a question or whatever, and you've joined by Google Meet, please use your raise hand function. And then if you're on the phone, you can go ahead and unmute. Again, for both, when you're called on, please give your first name, last name, and who you represent. So are there any, okay. Kevin?
Thank you. Kevin Cochran with DraftKings. You had addressed key personnel. Our specific question is related to the fantasy sports application. Looking at the statute, section 51207, subsection 5, it talks about designation of one key employee, of at least one key employee. It's our understanding that that person would have to be investigated as far as along with our application. Looking on the application itself, we didn't see a place where we designated a key employee. Is there any instruction of how we would be designating that key employee as it relates to our applications that are due tomorrow?
As the director mentioned, he just ran down the list of key employees that will need to disclose, which will be the CEO, president or equivalent, the chief accounting officer, CFO or controller equivalent, your chief operating officer, or who oversees the operations of the company. Fantasy sports is 10% or more ownership that will need to disclose. Those are the positions and the owners that need to disclose for a completed act.
Okay, perfect. So there's not an additional key employee that we would need to designate. You're saying that those three types of persons that you've listed would essentially be key employees for an applicant. Okay, thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, Sarah Dalsheim.
Hi, yes, this is Sarah Dalsheim with the San Carlos Apache Tribe. I was just wondering if you could provide some more clarity and logistical information on exactly how payment should be made.
I believe that is on the app.
Yeah, it's at the end of every application.
Okay, and does the payment need to be submitted at the same time of the application?
Yes.
Okay.
Or prior if you want, but definitely by the application, by your filing deadline.
Right. If it's submitted prior to the application, please, with the application, submit proof of payment.
Okay. We were also wondering, will different parts of the application be viewed by different individuals or specialists? Or is there any sort of scoring criteria or weighting of questions?
No, all questions need to be answered. There will be a team that reviews the entire application.
And will they be reviewing it all together, or does it go through a process of one individual then another?
Sarah, we're going to have a team that reviews the application. We're not going to discuss the internal processes of the department.
Okay. And then I saw that the website, the confidentiality portion was on there. We just wanted to double check that this also means that no part of the application will be subject to FOIA requests.
Yeah, we made that clear yesterday.
Okay.
And if you like, you can also check on those FAQs. We've listed down there the statutory authority that allows the department to keep these confidential.
Okay. And then my last question is, will there be an opportunity for operators to sub-license later on if affiliates do not apply for licenses during this round of applications? And this is more related to supplier and ancillary suppliers.
Yeah, what we said from this whole process is those other applications are on a rolling basis. There will be opportunity later.
Later on, meaning in other years or after August 28th? I'm just trying to get a better idea.
I guess I don't understand your question, Sarah. What are you asking?
I'm asking if this is going to be the only opportunity for any entity to be involved in event wagering in Arizona, or if there will be other opportunities, let's say next year.
No. I mean, people can apply for applications or whatever, but for the event wagering operators, It's a 5-year license.
This was, sorry, I should have made sure this was clear. This is for suppliers. In terms
Yeah,
of suppliers.
they can apply on an ongoing basis.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you so much.
You bet. Liv?
Yes, hi, Director. Liv Beesmas for dialing in for Unibet. I have a couple of questions, and I apologize if there are any duplication with the previous sessions, which unfortunately I have been unable to attend. So please let me know if the question is answered, and I'll review the FAQ. In terms of the designee application document, quite a few questions are quite extensive. So is it acceptable to provide a summary on the actual application form and then submit an additional item or annex which outlines, the full answer to that question, potentially add some visuals as well?
No, well, we're asking for you to, provide the information and answer the questions on the application. I mean, where there needs to be more space, I think we said continue on other pages.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's clear. And I think this question has already been asked, but I'm assuming that several operators will apply with a newly established entity, a local Arizona company. Obviously, some of the documentation, specifically corporate documentation or financial documentation, wouldn't be available. Is it acceptable to disclose that information on parent level so that you have full visibility, but accepting that the new entity will not have all that information accessible?
That'll work. We know that there's going to be a lot of entities that are going to be startups to be in Arizona just to handle the financial part of it. And we're, send the information you can. If you want to submit the parent, that would be extremely helpful. Obviously, it's not required since that's not the entity that's going for the license. So yes, parent financials would definitely be helpful. But yes, we are aware that some of these entities won't have financials or tax returns. And at that point, we start looking at the owners and the people that disclose.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's clear. In relation to the submission, I know there's a secure email server that we have access to. Are any documentation, do you require any physical copies and in particular fingerprints to be submitted, or is scanning and uploading documents or emailing documents via the secure server, is that sufficient?
So right now, I'd like to just kind of make it clear to everybody, we've received 2 hard copy applications. Please note that we are only in the office this week. However, we all work remotely, so everything needs to be submitted digitally. That way we can get it processed quicker. Otherwise, it may just sit in the office for a time being, but we want to get everybody in on the due date. So please submit everything digitally via the secure portal that we have provided for you. If you have your own secure portal, you may use that, but we want it secure and we want it digitally. The only thing mailed in are the fingerprint cards.
Okay, so the fingerprints are to be mailed to the gaming department.
Yes, everything else is digital.
Okay, that is clear. Thank you. Okay, a quick question in relation to the designee application form. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but on page 2, the bottom paragraph, it mentions providing proof of financial integrity, ability to meet operational expenses, etc. These categories that are mentioned, I believe they are tackled throughout the document with all the various questions, or do we have to submit a separate document that outlines how we meet those criteria?
Liv, why don't you go ahead and email that specific question into ewsintake@azgaming.gov. Because we don't have the application in front of us either, so we'll go back and reference the specific question that you're asking.
Perfect. Thank you. I will do that, Director. And then one final question from me, which relates to the key personnel. You mentioned the Chief Operations Officer or an equivalent for operators or designees that work with a third-party platform, so a third-party event wagering system. They wouldn't necessarily have a COO or equivalent. That position would be filled by the event wagering system. How is that being tackled? If you don't have that position internally, I'm assuming you don't have to submit.
Correct. Obviously, if you don't have that position, that's fine. It would just default to the CEO, president, or equivalent. Again, keep in mind, one person can do all three jobs. We have, individually ran companies. Some may do double duty with two positions. So yeah, we're just making sure that we've covered those positions. So if your company doesn't have one, obviously it defaults to the president and CEO.
Okay, perfect. Those were all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liz. Lisa Estenson?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Lisa Estenson with Yavapai Pagination, Cliff Castle Casino Hotel. It is very clear from your question Q&As that when you're in a designee situation, that the agreement between the tribe and the designee needs to be included. My question is, if the tribe is applying as the event wagering operator with the partner as the management service provider, does the department want the agreement as well?
Yes.
No, I don't think we necessarily need it. I mean, at that point, it'll be clear that the tribe is the event wagering operator. We just want to make sure that we're clear on the relationship between the two. And I don't think there's a confusion when the tribe is filing as the event wagering operator.
Okay, that was my initial understanding, but there was a question on the Q&A that I just maybe want to follow up and clarify that. Okay, so just again for confirmation, in that relationship with when the tribe is applying as the event wagering operator, the agreement is not required.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Lisa, do you have another question or just not taking your hand down yet?
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't put my hand down yet.
That's all right. All right. Is there anyone on the phone with a question? Okay, Christy Hubbard.
Sorry.
Christy Hubbard?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. On behalf of a supplier, they were filing their application and got a payment error, standard bank not found. We've already left a message through the phone number, but are you having any payment issues in general that we should know about?
Not that I'm aware of. Christy, just for the record, who do you represent? We'll look into it.
Oh, thank you. On this, it is PT Services Delaware LLC.
Okay, great. We'll look into it. And if you wouldn't mind, I know you've left a message, but will you just email in your contact information to ewfsintake@azgaming.gov, just so we can reach back out?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Mike Earlman?
Yes, Director. I hope you can hear me today. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay. I just wanted to follow up on Lisa's question. She described a situation in which the tribe is the event wagering operator applicant. And I just want to clarify that the answer would be the same, that if a tribe has a fully owned entity that is the applicant, that that applicant's agreement with management services provider would not need to be included in the application.
No. Again, what we're looking for is the clarity and the understanding of the relationship between the tribe and the organization. You know, that's a statutory requirement. So as long as it's clear that this is a wholly owned entity of the tribe, we won't, we don't need any further evidence.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
All right. Any other questions, either by Google Meets or by phone? Okay, great. Thank you for your time today. Again, we'll be hosting this 11 a.m. tomorrow. We'll be updating our webpage later today with the questions and answers that we received today. So please check back on our webpage and utilize this kind of developing FAQ, and then definitely take advantage of the upcoming Q&A session. And we appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.